Welcome back into another basketball preview video. And if you saw the video that went up prior to this one, that was on the Waterloo Columbus girls team. That leads you to believe that this one will be about the Columbus boys team, and indeed, you would be correct. By the way, before we get going, a little bit of a wardrobe change for this one. Had some malfunction with my phone, so it's been a little bit since I recorded the girls video. But if you did not see that one, check it out on my Twitter page. You can find me at Taylor from Kway. It's Taylor from Kway. And so you can find all the videos. Find the Columbus one. You can find all the other ones that we've done as well from other schools from around the area. You can also find all those videos on YouTube. Search for Taylor Knits. My last name, N as in Nancy, ITZ. And you'll find all those over there as well. But with that in mind, let's jump right on into what I think the Waterloo Columbus boys are going to be able to do this season on the basketball court. Now, first we have to talk about what happened last year. If you're a Columbus fan, close your ears for this part because it wasn't pretty. Just 2-19 last year were the Waterloo Columbus boys. Their season was ended by Jessup, who won it 50-47. Columbus scored just 45 points a game last year. That's not going to get it done this year. They've really got to up that if they're to have any chance whatsoever this season. They've got to score more points, no doubt about it. They also, this is a bigger problem. They can win some games scoring 45 points a game. But if they continue to turn the ball over the same way they did last year, they won't win any games. They've got to slash that number for sure. They had 405 turnovers last year compared to just 171 assists. So that's just not a good ratio for those stats. You've got to get those turnovers down, assists up, and that would go a long ways to improving not only the team play, but the team results as well. But the most important thing, probably the most important thing that I'm going to say this entire video is that they've got to protect the ball. They cannot turn the ball over nearly as much as they did last year. They also pulled down 24 rebounds a game. I'm going to say that number's got to go up as well. They've got to control the glass a little bit better. They've got a couple of guys that I think can do that as well. So that is an area where I think Columbus can improve this year from last year. We'll get into that in just a little bit. They also scored more points in the fourth quarter. That's probably something that you expect, knowing that the team won just 2 games. So a number of the games that they did not win, they were facing second teams in the fourth quarter and were able to put up some more points there. And that's why that total is a little bit higher than the other quarters. That's not something you want to be true of your team, but I think that is the case here with Columbus. They also, on average, lost games by 19.2 points a game. So all the games added together, you average out the point differential over the course of the season. Minus 19.2 is what you come up with. So, obviously that's not great. Again, I think cutting down on the turnovers, I should say, will go a long ways to evening out some of these stats. That's kind of the vital one that I think needs to improve the most as the Sailors head on into this upcoming season. Now, you look at that roster from last year, just one senior, I think Ryan Glass, the only senior that they lose from last year's team, and he's a kid that didn't play a whole lot anyhow, so you're thinking coming back, okay, here we go. We're going to be able to do some things here. We've got a young team that's now a year older and theoretically a little bit better. But there's a big but in there, and that's the fact that the 2 best players on Columbus's roster, I don't believe will be back this year. The first one, Jaquan Jackson, really, really good talent. Really liked watching him play. He could score with the best of them. I remember doing a game against Wapsie Valley, and he and Paul Runquist for Wapsie Valley just went off. Both of them scored in the mid-30s. It was great. A great game. Loved calling that game. And, Jackson played just 6 games last year before. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I've heard some rumors. I don't know if they're true, so I don't want to repeat them by any means. But he did play just 6 games early on, and then no longer was with the team after that. So 22.2 points a game in those 6 games. I mean, that just shows you what he could do. He shot nearly 40% from beyond the arc in those games as well. 15 of 38 is darn good. That's a big loss. Obviously, it's tough to make up for that. And I think probably the team, had Jackson stayed on the team for the entirety of the season, or stayed with the team, been able to play, I think you're looking at a whole different record last year, a whole different season than the one that they did end up turning out. So Jaquan, as far as I know, is not back. Perhaps he is, but from what I know, he's not going to be back this year. And the other player is Alex Zike, another player that I really, really enjoyed watching play, could really shoot the ball. And he, alongside Jackson, that's a dynamic duo right there. But I believe that Alex Zike has moved perhaps to Missouri. So he will not be back with Columbus this year either. That's 2 huge misses for a team that thought they were bringing back basically everybody from last year, and now you've lost your 2 best players. That's a punch in the gut. It really is. So the other players, the players that are left, are going to have to step up, and whatever step they thought they were going to have to take, they're going to have to take it doubly now. They're going to have to skip a step. They need to step it up this season for sure. And maybe the biggest name there is Cannon Butler, who will be a junior this year. Really, really like this kid. He stands about 6'4"-ish, I would say, somewhere around in that range. Really good athlete as well. He can get up. I have vague memories of him grabbing the rim. I can't remember if he had thrown a ball through it or if he had sort of laid the ball up and then grabbed the rim. But I have vague memories of him, at the very least, touching the rim. So, and I think he is the type of talent that maybe if you give him a running start, he can throw it down on you. And he averaged 7.6 points a game. That's the leading returning scorer from last year's team for Columbus. So that's a big role that he's going to be asked to play, I believe, this season. I think he's going to be the leading scorer. I think he's going to need to be over 15 points a game. Pay no attention to my cat. That's Zoe over there. She's crazy. Just ignore her. Anyhow, back to the Columbus. Cannon Butler. I think he's a vital piece for Columbus. Again, I think he's going to need to average somewhere around 15 points a game. He averaged about 7 rebounds a game. That number probably needs to be closer to 10 as well. Honestly, to be honest, I think Cannon Butler probably needs to be close to averaging a double-double for Columbus to be a real threat this season. There's nobody else returning that averaged anywhere close to the amount of rebounds that Butler did pull down. The next closest was Ben Leibold, and he is another key player for Columbus. He'll be a senior this year, and he's a kid that he's a little bit bigger body as well. So Leibold and Butler on the inside, perhaps they can get something going in there and work that out. I think that Ben picked up an injury in football, and perhaps you Columbus fans can correct me if I'm wrong. So hopefully he's back from that injury, but he may not be, which would also be another big blow to this basketball team if that is indeed the case. Another name to sort of keep in mind is Robert Porth. He was a player last year that when Jaquan Jackson was gone and Alex Zike was kind of the guy, teams were obviously keying on Zike, and it really did take Alex out of his game, and it would. I mean, you've got 3 guys that are watching you at all moments. It's tough to really get anything going at that point, but there were certain moments when there was another player that took those eyes off of Alex, and a lot of the time it was Robert Porth who was the guy that was forcing them to do that. And so if he can do that on a more regular basis, that would be fantastic for Columbus. In fact, I mean, he's probably going to have to do that pretty often. He averaged under 5 points a game. He's got to be able to score more than that this year. Again, losing Jackson and Zike, just such, as far as offense goes, as far as scoring goes, such a punch to the gut there for Columbus. And so picking up for those 2 guys is a big key. They've got to find some way to make up for the lost production from those 2 and limiting turnovers. Those would be the big keys for Columbus from me. And obviously, the turnovers one is the biggest. They've got to be able to hang on to that rock. There's no doubt about it. But they do have Cannon Butler, who is a very good athlete, and they've got a couple other players that can do some things. They've just got to make sure that they are executing to a T, because they've got no room for error whatsoever. This Columbus team. I believe they have a new head coach as well, so it'll be interesting to see how he lines them up this season. Rating-wise, again, if you're unfamiliar, a 1 would mean that I think the team is a state title contender. A 2 is a team that is a state tournament contender. A 3, a team that I think is just looking to win more games than lose. They should be, looking to just finish above 500, and if things fall right for them, they could go on a run in postseason play. Or a 4 would be a team that is rebuilding. And I think you guys probably can guess from what I've said thus far in the video, this Columbus team, they're a 4. They're going to be a 4 for sure. They are definitely rebuilding. You lose the guys that you lose, and it's always going to be tough. And so I don't think you can look at the scores of games this year for Columbus and judge the Sailors strictly by that. You've got to look at the growth. You got to look at what they are right now. You take a 2-19 team last year. You take the 2 best players off that team. You're in dire straits. So improvement is going to be the key. I think they're going to get some wins. In fact, I think they win more than 2 games this year. I do think that strongly, in fact. But I don't think they're, really a state tournament threat. Hopefully I'm wrong. Perhaps I will be wrong. That would be fantastic. But I just think they're a bit in rebuilding mode and just trying to kind of rebuild this Columbus basketball program back up. And so, it kind of starts here. These guys are going to be the guys that lay the groundwork for what's to come in the future. So it'll be interesting to see what they do indeed do this season. Remember, we'll have a number of those games on the K-Way airwaves, so make sure you stay tuned to K-Way to find out which games will indeed be broadcast. Stay tuned over to my Twitter as well. Again, Taylor from K-Way is where you can find me. And until next time, I am Taylor Nitz. Okay, bye.